What does a healthy relationship look like to you?
Es una muy buena pregunta.
The number one thing is respect.
Overall respect, emotionally and physically as well.
Boundaries
Boundaries that are set and followed.
privacy, being very intentional with one another and understanding one another, just being more observant of your behaviors with one another.
Aquella que no ves a la otra persona como un aditamento tuyo, sino como alguien que te acompaña en un camino hacia algo mucho más grande. Alguien que pueda apoyarte en tus objetivos, alguien que esté ahí para apoyarte.
For me, a healthy relationship looks like constant communication, not like over constant communication, but if there's a misunderstanding, being able to like talk your way through it.
You should be able to talk to your partner and like be able to talk things out and not have like a ton of issues.
And having a level of trust in each other that you're not like constantly worried, like, oh, they're gonna like leave me. Like have a mutual understanding and being able to like communicate what you need, what your partner needs, and be able to compromise.
Being able to communicate with each other, be open, be honest, be able to say things you aren't comfortable with and things that you are, knowing your boundaries and, somebody else's boundaries and being able to speak about that.
For me, a healthy relationship is 50-50. It's something where one person isn't doing all of the giving or the taking.
The relationship is definitely 50-50, and I think that like no one person in a relationship should have to like deal with all the stress of like that relationship.
Kind of where both partners have an equal understanding of the other.
What would you say to someone who is entering into a new relationship?
Antes de darte el paso a una nueva relación, debes considerar primero qué es lo que tú quieres para ti mismo, no lo que buscas en una persona, sino lo que tú quieres para ti. El amor propio es la base, no puedes amar a alguien más sin amarte a ti mismo.
Always express your boundaries. Somebody got to know your comfortability level and vice versa. You got to be able to know theirs as well.
No matter how much you love them, always make sure there's like a small part of your mind having like a tally list of like, this could be a potential red flag. Don't go in completely with your emotions. Keep track. And when things are like you're seeing the red flags, don't just dismiss them. Oh, because that's them. You can be like, okay, this is too many red flags. This is not a healthy relationship.
Be courteous of yourself. Don't give up those pieces of yourself for the other person, and make sure that you're communicating your boundaries. And if those needs aren't being met, those boundaries aren't being met, when to know to leave.
Set all of the boundaries that they need to and to take their time with the other person, and that they don't have to rush into anything so quickly.
And I would tell them that like I'm there to like help them and support them and talk to them.
I would just tell them that if you feel uncomfortable during times with your partner over certain stuff, then that's not normal. You're supposed to feel happy around your partner. You're supposed to communicate with your partner, like a safe little bubble with them.
Don't be too open, but be open, just, be careful and, don't be afraid to love, but have caution.
What is a behavior you thought was normal but is actually abusive?
And one thing that I thought was like normal was love bombing.
Love bombing. I didn't really like recognize that in relationships, and now like I realize that, and I'm like more aware of like how common it is.
What happens is it's used to like entice the person, keep them in the relationship. So it's, hey, let me give you a bunch of gifts to show that I do love you, and that makes you stay in the relationship longer, and they can manipulate you. But when you go through like, oh, maybe this isn't a good relationship, then they shower you with all these gifts, and you're like, oh, they do love me, and then the cycle continues.
Being super overprotective to an extent where it's like, you can't wear this, you can't go out with these people, but then they would just say they care about you and they want to protect you. But there's a level of protectiveness that's healthy, and there's being overprotective to the abusive point.
Being too overly obsessive with somebody, that can lead to very crazy things. Location, coming to where you're at.
Like location sharing. Sometimes partners can use that as a way to kind of like manipulate their partners.
That, I thought was normal.
Forcing your partner to do something that you don't want to do. Like if they want you to do something that makes you uncomfortable and stuff, and you're like, oh, like that's my partner, I could do that. No. If you're forcing your partner to have sex and you're not ready, and you're just not ready, not comfortable, and your partner forces you, like saying, I don't know, like, I'm your boyfriend, we've been together for this amount of time, we trust each other, I won't hurt you.
Yo mismo lo he hecho, yo mismo he pasado por situaciones así, pero no es algo que es sano, y no es hasta que te das cuenta de que dejarte llevar por alguien que simplemente no vale la pena, no es la forma más sana de vivir en una relación, cuando el punto principal de una relación es sentirte amado y apreciado por otra persona.
I definitely got more clarification through PowerBack on what was healthy and what was considered not healthy.
Okay, next question. How would you help a friend who is in an abusive relationship?
Obviously, in PowerBack, they taught me how to do stuff like that.
Demostrar primero, tu amigo identifique el problema sería el primer paso para llegar a una conclusión saludable para todas las partes.
Hey, like this one thing that you were telling me about, like I don't think that might be the healthiest. And you introduce it like a little by little, like kind of showing the like red flags that you see.
How are you doing mentally? How is this person treating you? I think maybe you should think about it.
Not to tell them to break up with, their partner, because that could go the other way.
The last thing I would want to do is tell them what they have to do.
No es precisamente atacar y decir que debe salir de algo que él posiblemente no quiera salir.
I'll explain to her, like, it's okay, I understand. And the fact that he's your partner and you don't feel comfortable with it.
Just help them like make a plan of like how to get out of that abusive relationship.
And then over time, when they start coming to the realization of like, this isn't how it's supposed to be, then you start being like, well, here might be some things I can do to help you get out of that relationship.
I'm always a resource. They can talk to me about absolutely anything. I try and provide them with as many resources as I could.
If people are noticing, I'm going to say, hey, think about these certain behaviors that I see.
What has your experience been with PowerBack? How has it impacted you?
I'm so, overly thankful that I joined this group. It helped me in more ways than one.
And I was able to learn a lot about different warning signs, how to help friends.
I was more observant and aware of types of dating abuse that aren't as talked about, but that are most definitely present, especially in high schoolers.
Personalmente, dentro de mi círculo social, muchos de mis amigos han empezado a venir a mí para pedirme consejos o ayuda porque ya confían más en el hecho de que alguien pueda entenderlos mejor sin juzgarlos, que creo que es lo que PowerBack al fin y al cabo está haciendo. Darle la oportunidad a los jóvenes de poder abrirse y entender que no están solos y tienen problemas. Y creo que es lo más valioso de todo esto. Y a mí sinceramente me encanta todo eso.
PowerBack's definitely a great community if you ever want people to talk to. I feel like everyone in our PowerBack is very open and everyone's really comfortable with each other.
I used to think some stuff called abuse would just be normal, because in this generation a lot of teens normalize stuff like that. It turns out that it's not. It's actually like abuse that could mentally drain you and stuff.
I had a lot of things going on in my personal life, personal relationships, so made things a lot easier. I was able to hear advice from other people maybe I didn't have thought of before. Thank you guys. You guys have been great people, and I really appreciate that.
Last question, why is it important to talk about dating abuse?
If you don't talk about dating abuse, there's definitely a taboo on the topic. A lot of times what comes with taboo is it doesn't stop what's happening. It just makes people feel way more isolated and like they can't escape.
Becoming more aware of dating abuse and taking the time to really learn about it can be a matter of life or death.
It's like everyone thinks that they know a lot about it. Everyone thinks that they're never going to be in an abusive relationship. But when it actually happens, when you actually see it around you, you don't know how to react.
But we don't get into the specific things that happen that lead to those things. Light has not been shined on enough. These things happen on an everyday basis. They don't just happen once in a blue moon. It happens in your society, in your community. It happens everywhere.
So many people are unaware of abusive traits in a relationship. It could happen to anyone if you're not aware of it.
We're in 2024 now. The way that teenagers act during relationships is like crazy. They go through a lot of stuff that they don't know that's actually abuse, and they normalize it, and it's actually so draining for them. They're like, oh, like it's okay, this happens, it's normal. They're not actually informed of what that actually is.
La felicidad no tiene precio. Y si quieres dar el paso a la felicidad, debes saber que la felicidad primero se encuentra en uno mismo. Y que si algún día tienes problemas, no dudes en que puedes conversar con alguien más sobre el tema. Porque para eso están los amigos, la familia o PowerBack.
PowerBack, a program operated by a Partnership for Change, was built to raise awareness, empower teens, support victims, and end dating abuse.
Check out our website for more information.